Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, I'm going to tell you the real reason Bray Wyatt is missing from WWE's internal roster.
We've got former women's champions return on WWE Raw.
We will tell you why WWE were barely featured at the NBC and Fox Media Upfronts.
And is a top WWE stable about to add a shocking new member.
Ooh, I'm Andy Murray.
Ooh, I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news. No Adam Wilborn today. He has hurt his ankle. Send him best wishes.
Yeah.
It might just be a little bruise. It might be...
It's massive.
It might have turned into like potatoes. Who
It's
knows?
bigger than my head.
And
Imagine that.
we got some big ass skulls in this studio. Speaking of big ass skulls, Bray Wyatt, there he is. Let's talk about him a little bit. So this got weird yesterday. PW Insider reported that Bray Wyatt was not listed on any of WWE's internal rosters, having previously been listed on SmackDown, of course. He'd kind of been removed a little bit here. They just reported noting that he was nowhere to be found and there was no word on why. Fortunately, Fightful Select came through about half an hour later or something ridiculously quick. Sean is just too good at his job at this stage. Coming through and noting that Bray has been omitted from the WWE rosters due to injury, which specifically is the illness that has kept him out of action for the past few months. Him and Bo Dallas, who plays Uncle Howdy, spoiler, not really, are still with WWE. They're still under contract, they're just not on the roster. And presumably, because Bo's creative is tied to Bray, if Bray's not going to be listed on the roster, Uncle Howdy would not be listed either because they're tied together.
Yeah.
So there you go. Wyatt had been telling people recently that he had been hoping to return to the ring soon, although there's no word on when he'll be back in WWE. His last match was on a house show in February. Last match on TV would have been the Mountain Dew pit. That thing.
That right there.
Would have been his last match on telly.
I want to drink them ropes. That was such an effective commercial. It really was.
Put it on between matches.
Yeah.
Like just on shows. Repeat it. Repeat it! Why am I shouting repeat it? That's weird. But yeah, there you go. That's why Bray Wyatt is not currently listed on any of WWE's rosters. There's all kinds of conspiracy theories going around at the moment because Vince has final creative say again and he released them before and all of this stuff, but there's nothing to indicate officially that that's the case. There's been no reports or anything.
Yeah.
That's why he's not on the roster right now. That's why he's been removed temporarily.
Weird this, man, isn't it? It continues to be weird. A lot of people made a lot of money really quickly with Bray Wyatt and then nothing.
Yeah.
Like the White Rabbit campaign, which now feels a million years ago, super, mega successful for WWE internally. They were over the moon with it. Bray Wyatt presumably came back and got a bag for that, like, you know, come back on a big money deal. Then they have this Mountain Dew thing. Everybody made a fortune off of that. And then nothing. No WrestleMania match. It effectively, not that it was Bray's fault directly, but it kind of costs Bobby Lashley a payday.
Yeah.
Makes you like question how much like the rest of the locker room necessarily wants to work with him, because prior to this run, everyone that did sort of found themselves trapped in, not that it was Bray's fault, but found themselves trapped in the web of the creative misunderstanding between the two sides, and it just feels like we're back there again. Triple H.
I guess it depends on this illness as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, yeah, obviously, aside
we wish
from,
him well,
of
obviously.
course, but it just sort of feels, yet again, like you were willing to say the last time the run was cursed, but is it just that his and WWE relationship is cursed? Like, I don't think anybody could have assumed that we'd already be back here having these conversations when 6 months ago his return was the biggest thing the company had to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've got the perfect angle for his comeback.
Go on.
Featuring another guy who's been off television a while recently. New tag team, Mountain Drew. Okay, put me in a.
Get me out of that one.
Kill me.
Speaking of tag teams that have returned to television, but ones that probably don't drink too much full-fat soda.
Diet is the way.
Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler were back on WWE Raw last night. They picked their spot attacking Raquel Rodriguez while Liv Morgan was out with an injury. They've, of course, been off television since WrestleMania 39. Not necessarily that big a story if it wasn't Ronda Rousey, I suppose. Yeah. Like her and Shayna were kind of put into that tag team showcase. They were then lifted out of the match when Shayna appeared to suffer some kind of injury. But they were at least drafted to Raw. And this was their first appearance on the show, along with, of course, a number of other drafts, one of which we'll get to later on in the news. So they appeared, they did the big attack on Raquel Rodriguez. When the tag belts were put on Raquel and Liv, it was very much felt as if that they were being kept warm for Ronda and Shayna, and perhaps now we're getting to that, and maybe this, at long last, establishes where WWE believe Ronda Rousey fits in. It was all a bit confusing in that Rumble to WrestleMania period, but maybe the two sides have settled now, because this felt like as committed as a return and as committed an angle as Rousey especially has had in months.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good as well. Liv injured, Raquel on her own. Heels attack 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Simple,
Take
good,
advantage.
effective, pro wrestling, storytelling, good. Yes, it is good.
She's big, they're killers.
They're
it's
absolute-
like basic stuff. You know, we
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing victory laps for the basics, but good that they're at very least getting that
Yeah.
right. Ronda's on
Yeah.
a weird run.
Acknowledge the basics.
Acknowledge
That's
the-
a good thing to do, and then celebrate the other stuff.
That sounds
I
like
guess.
Roman's comeback promo when he finally loses the belt. Acknowledge the basics. Grabs a headlock and he gets people to put their things in the air.
And the basics, not the people on Twitter who have him in their avatar.
Very good.
I'm
Look
only,
at this.
I'm only joking. I'm a basic boy as
Have
well.
some of that.
Listen, if I wasn't doing this for a job, I would have the Butcher and the Blade in my avatar. So, you know, whatever.
Basic about those boys.
It is. I'm just joking. I'm taking the piss. Right, let's talk about why WWE were barely featured at the media upfronts this week. Fox and NBCUniversal, they've both had their media upfronts. That's like their annual presentation where they feature like their upcoming programming for the year and stuff. Obviously, WWE have NXT and Raw on NBCU platforms, and Peacock, the streaming service, home of their PLEs. And on Fox, we have SmackDown. So you'd think that these shows, which are regularly in like the top one every week, would be featured quite prominently because they're objectively successful for these platforms. But no, they were barely there. In fact, WWE was restricted to just being as part of a video package for Peacock during the NBC ones. So it's quite interesting. But PW Insider are reporting that the exclusivity window for these networks negotiating new contracts with WWE is either about to expire or has expired. And when that expires, of course, that means that other networks can come in and bid for the TV rights and open talks and all of that stuff. The NXT deal is up in September. The Raw and SmackDown deals are up by the end of the year. So you would imagine the new TV deal rights stuff, things will be negotiated. They're probably being negotiated now and will be announced, you know, within the next few months. So me personally editorializing this, I'm no business expert. However, I would suggest that there is nothing to worry about here. AEW is about to earn $1 billion for their rights deals, and considering, you know, WWE's numbers compared to AEW's, you would imagine that WWE will earn in excess of that, maybe 2 or 3 billion overall. I mean, they're already at that, aren't they?
We're at $1 billion for Smacky D's right now.
Yeah, and Raw's like not far off that, if the same. And the pay-per-view deal on Peacock is like another $1 billion, so they're kind of already there. But WWE are going to get big increases. It's totally fine. I don't think it's anything to worry about. What do you think?
I agree. It did strike me as a bit of a throwback to the old days when networks would almost hide that they had wrestling and how difficult it was for wrestling traditionally to get advertisers. WWE has worked tirelessly to get away from that. You think of everything.
Advertisers?
Advertisers. If you think now that like every replay on a PLE is like sponsored by a different company, and everything dating back to what, 2009 with the Mattel deal?
Yeah.
It was all about normalizing WWE as a Disney adjacent brand in television company law and in advertising companies. So it's weird that they were kind of minimised in a situation like this, but I don't think, as you say, I don't think it'll have a knock-on effect on the numbers. Wrestling has slid through in that grey area between live sports and entertainment like almost nothing else. It remains one of the only things to retain audiences that are watching live rather than on delay or on DVR. I don't think it's going to be a concern, this one. Beyond maybe somebody kicking off that they weren't featured and more prominently on the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Somebody within WWE will hate that.
I remember AEW was barely featured during
Yes.
Warner's last year. Barely featured at all, and now they're probably getting $1 billion. So there you go.
Look what we're on the precipice of, yeah.
We're on the precipice of a weird man joining a cool stable is what we're on the precipice of.
We are. This must be how WWE is making their millions and billions, because the Judgment Day are on a recruitment drive, apparently. The JD in JD McDonough might indeed stand for Judgment Day. You like that? You like that?
Judgment Day McDonough.
There we go. Because based on what we saw last night on Monday Night Raw, he's maybe in the flippin' Judgment Day. On the other side of a promo that we saw with Finn Balor looking on as JD McDonough did his sort of farewell address on last night's Raw. He had a busy night. He was in the Intercontinental title Battle Royal. He was eliminated, but he decked Dolph Ziggler, which apparently sets up presumably his first mini program. Easy win.
Yeah.
But, you know, a way to get started on the main roster. There are much worse. And, he was sort of bidding farewell to the fans for the evening as a heel. I'll do my business next week. And then the camera in the background saw Finn Balor bathed in purple light. Some people are calling it an Easter egg. I thought those were supposed to be hidden. Like, that was basically like a gift-wrapped purple Christmas present.
Yeah, it was like, brother, would you like a bar of chocolate?
Have this.
Yeah.
But it's not without a sort of a bit of lore and a bit of LTST, this one. Basically, from when JD McDonough debuted as Jordan Devlin in the UK Championship, the comparisons to Finn Balor were apparent. apparent. He was in the leather jacket, the same look there.
Trained together, haven't they?
Trained together. They both obviously got their Irish backgrounds. And WWE seemingly will lean on the fact that Finn Balor was JD McDonough's trainer rather than just saying that they maybe worked together once upon a time. Worked Wrestling came through to confirm what we saw on television last night. They said there have been discussions backstage of JD McDonough joining the Judgment Day. The connection and angle is that Finn Balor was the one who trained McDonough how to wrestle. So they're basically suggesting that he was a lump of clay before Finn Balor got his evil hands on him.
Sculpted him like Ghost, the movie.
McDonough is presumably going to scale back the American Psycho gimmick that was thrust upon him in NXT for this. What do you make of him joining the Judgment Day? Like, they're a hot act, and I think it speaks to that they're now being potentially used to give the rub to a bit of purple dust on a newcomer. But do you think it fits? Do you think he works?
I wouldn't add anyone to the Judgment Day at the moment, to be honest. I wouldn't add the best wrestler in the world to the Judgment Day right now.
Because they've already got him in Dominic Mysterio.
Obviously, there you go. It's just such like a great mix of people and personalities and styles and like chemistry at the moment that I wouldn't change it in any way, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't take anyone out and I wouldn't put anyone in. That being said, obviously, JD McDonough and Finn Balor have history. They have a reason to work together on TV. You would assume that they have some kind of chemistry, given that they've worked together in the past. And I'm sure they'll find a way to make him fit in. I wouldn't tinker with any of it, to be honest. He's obviously a very good wrestler. The American Psycho gimmick, or the Irish Psycho gimmick, I guess it became.
Bit cheesy.
Yeah, it's not for me personally.
He
He
once got a promo where he winked while wearing sunglasses.
Yeah,
Nobody could see.
Yeah, he's like, what was the thing where he was like doing yoga in his apartment, talking about the little people in the city.
He would explain the injury he was about to inflict on a person by discussing the anatomy and physiology.
Murdering a homeless person on the way home from work. Patrick Bateman. It's literally Patrick Bateman. But yeah, I mean, like, look, I will 100% give it a chance to be good. There you go. There you go. That's all you can ask.
Maybe he ousts Finn Balor in the same way Finn Balor ousted Edge and the Judgment Day, the new Bullet Club. And the leader just always beats up the old one and we all buy t-shirts.
Well, we already
got... form a new wrestling company off the back of it.
We already got Bullet Club Gold over there in AEW. Do we have Bullet Club Purple?
Bullet Club Purple. Finally made it.
Why the heck not? Right, let's move on to today's Twitter questions, which I haven't told you about any of them, so I'm just jumping them on you. Only one of them's particularly serious, but...
Okay.
So it's from Big Dan, right? Big Dan's been on, and he asks, Hi Dan, with Collision presumably being announced tomorrow, what match should open the first episode? I've got one. I think it should just be a banger for no reason. Just a stupid popper. Konosuke Takeshita versus El Hijo del Vikingo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah!
I love that.
Cutting edge.
CM Punk versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Oh, yeah.
Punk hands Hobbs and L. QTV are decked as a consequence because he was stupid to associate them in the first place. Punk immediately, there's a bit of a political edge there because immediately like he does his best to get Hobbs over and he has that kind of like be able to see what happens when a real wrestler comes back. You get guys over, like I'll show you how to do business. He wins obviously, but nonetheless, like what a draw, like immediately CM Punk back in his tights. None of the sort of like the second coming, we're left to assume that he'll be out again in the hoodie and the jacket and sitting down cross-legged. What if it's a match? What if he's just like back to business and the Punker's back ready in the chase?
I hope he doesn't get injured, the poor guy.
That's a concern, obviously, but just no buckshot lariats.
Alternative, Goldberg versus Aaron Solo.
Also great.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Second one today comes from Juan Pfeiffer, who asks, with rumours of WWE superstars getting some new entrance music, who do you think could do with some new music? Or should they bring back someone's old music like Baron Corbin with the Lone Wolf? With that one. It's a good entrance theme.
Is that the one? I think we're on different Baron Corbin ones because I like the ones where you had the spotlight and it went, like that motorbike revving.
I am the darkness. The butt rock one.
No, not even that. He's had so many good tunes.
I like the butt rock one.
He's had so many good tunes. All those NXT ones were great, and then obviously someone fell out with CFO and it was like, change it. We don't want to pay them.
Bring them home, by the way.
Aye, bring them home.
No shade on Def Rebel, but CFOs were tremendous.
Who's not got great music at the moment?
Well, they changed Asuka's again, and it sucks. There's lots of people with. I would honestly bring back Rhea Ripley's previous theme.
Same.
Like I don't
Same.
I eat, sleep, bleed. No, it's weird. I'm not as much into that one. I'd bring back her old theme. I mean, you could name so many people on this. Remember the Royal Rumble 2022 where a theme hit and everyone was just like, what? Oh, it's that person.
I would be banging to Bailey getting a new theme if and when she turns.
Yeah.
Because that heel one was absolutely fine for that miserable character she was playing, but post-damage Kataral, like it did have something new or a jacked-up version of the old babyface one with a wacky waving tube man if they make it come back as well.
There you
Something
go.
new there.
There's some good ones these days. Like I think Gunther's and Imperium's one is really good.
Yeah. Judgment Days is great.
Obviously, you get the Kings of Buttrock, Alter Bridget. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And by the way, Buttrock is a compliment. Don't get it twisted. It's like new metal and rap metal.
Yeah.
These things are good, actually. And if you think I'm shading them, you don't know me very well.
We will not apologise for the sewer of pop culture that was the late 90s.
100%. Listen, that's our child. Well, not yours, but it's my child. You're really old.
Yeah.
Your child.
Mine cuts the black and white. There's no sound in it. Just a scene missing and Steamboat Willie's on the boat.
Gee whiz. Right, I need you to speak for a second because I've lost the questions. So,
Okay.
So help.
I'm trying to think of I was honestly trying to think of other music. But that's part of the problem. They ruined Johnny Gargano's as well. Like they made him, people loved Rebel Heart. That was a little bit whiny for my tastes.
Yeah.
But the new pop, rave remix of it is useless.
It's not the same, is
No.
it? Like Rebel Heart is like a perfect song for that character.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit it's one of the songs. It's a bit cheesy. It's really catchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit over earnest, but so is the character, and it's like really uplifting. Gets people going. Flawless. But then they took a huff with whoever made it, I guess, and here we are. Jim John, bring back Big Jim. Gee whiz, that man.
Why AEW haven't made the call yet?
I don't know.
Big Mikey does a good job there, doesn't he?
Big Mikey does a tremendous job, to be fair. Shout out to all the great music people out there. Def
people.
Rebel, Mikey Ruckus, Colin. Respect to Colin.
CFOs really had a moment. CFOs did.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like, CFOs were great. I know there were loops and stuff, and a lot of people didn't like that, but all of them were really good.
Great era for the tunes.
Yeah, like, even, like, Lesser heralded ones, like Apollo Crews' theme, where it was just the same thing over. So good.
Yeah.
Wrestling music is awesome.
It can be.
One
really
of the best things of all time. I got a fun question to wrap today's video on.
Okay.
It comes from I'm sorry, sir, or I cannot pronounce your thing here. Simpathic Hansic. I'm really sorry, I have butchered that. The Malachi Black avatar. Right, there we go. Morning, fellas. Who besides wrestling is the biggest nerd/geek in your office on the following topics? And remember, nerd/geek is a compliment. It's not an insult. If you're a nerd on something, that means you deeply care about it and you put time and passion and effort into it. That is bloody awesome, and I respect you and your hobbies.
That's a fantastic disclaimer considering we're about to put all of the gaming team on blast. Let's go.
All right, football. Who's the biggest football nerd in the office?
I would say you or Wilborn.
It's not me, man.
It's not you anymore.
I'm not because I've reached a level with football personally where if we win, I feel good. If we lose,
I'm very much the same.
I think it's Wilborn.
Cedric's only 20% invested in Newcastle United for quite obvious reasons.
I would dispute that.
I would say Wilborn because he's still really locked into fantasy football. Like he supports Chesterfield, so you've really got to be passionate to stick with a team like that. So
it's Willie. 100% it's Willie. Games.
And he's injured his ankle playing football last night.
That's why he's literally why he's
not sitting in this chair for the love of that goddamn game.
Video games. I mean, we've got a whole channel of them. I think it's probably Scott.
Scott and Josh.
Yeah. I've got Josh for another category as the thing, as a candidate, but I think it's probably Scott. Like he told me last week he spent 70 hours playing Zelda in 4 days. Obviously he has to because he has to review it, but that's commitment. That is commitment.
Games make you put the time in these days, don't they?
They do, man. Yeah. They do. I value a game that ends in 8 hours. So I'm oh, that was fun, brother. I like a 30-minute music album, I like a 90-minute movie, and an 8-hour game.
When I wrestle the Switch away from my kids, I play Tetris.
Hey, there you go. Tetrisio. Why is it Italian? Music, right? I think music is a three-way tie.
Okay.
I think it's me, I think it's you, and I think it's Josh Brown.
Ooh.
And I don't think you can really separate us.
I might throw Adam Nicholas in it as well.
And Adam Nicholas. Yeah, because every time I walk over to that great man's computer, there's a big-ass playlist of various things on one of his monitors.
I certainly think, as a mix of taste and investing way too much into live music, I appreciate that I've committed myself to that curse forever. Like the tinnitus I can hear right now as we talk is something that is bought and paid for.
I've had the tinnitus since 19 years old.
Yeah.
Going to house shows and stuff.
I would say we could tell people to learn the lessons, but don't.
Yeah.
Smash your head up to that speaker when you're young. It's worth it. It is. Suffer it then, and it's okay now. It's all right.
And if you're in the same musical realm as me, Mosh retirement is 100% worth it. Let me tell you that. It's not worth the punches in the face. Movies. This is a tough one. I think it might be Ewan Patterson.
Ewan Patterson.
Back at WhatCulture. Shout out.
Got his Dad Movies podcast.
Dad Movies podcast. I follow Ewan on Letterboxd, obviously, because he's my friend. And he watches, like, 5 things I've never heard of a week and, like, puts them over and, like, has really good informed opinions and stuff. And, like, I can trust him for, like, good recommendation. I think it's Ewan. 100%.
Ewan. Sidge is a low-key movie guy.
Yeah.
Like, you get good recommendations off Sidge.
100%.
He knows his art.
Everyone knows stuff, man. Anime/manga is James Peart. James Peart, he's a big anime guy.
Defo.
He's tweeting about it. He's enjoying it. He's watching it. I think Scott's into anime and stuff as well.
I'm kind of a bit of a late expert on that. I've seen, I've watched a bit of Pig in a Plane.
Pig in a Plane!
I know more. It's Pokemon, isn't it? I know my way around that.
Have you seen Spirits Ahoy?
I've seen Akira Tozawa.
Miyazaki. That's the boy's name from the big studio. Studio Giblets.
Bugs Bunny.
I'm being a dick because I
don't know. I don't know if I'm pig ignorant. That's what. Never mind. Pig in a Plane.
I love Pig in a Plane. Porco Rosso, such a charming bugger. But I really enjoy the Studio Ghibli films. I've only seen about 7 of them. But like Spirited Away, Porco Rosso, Howl's Moving Castle, My Neighbor Totoro, obviously, things like that. Porco Rosso is a great one to start with, actually, because he's just such a charming swine, literally, of a boy. But there's like one moment of emotional resonance in that film. You spend like 45 an hour rooting for this charming pigman. And then there's this one scene that you're just laughing and you're having a good time and stuff, and you're enjoying like the anti-war themes as well on top of that, which are pretty easy to decipher. But there's one scene about an hour in that where it completely subverts you. It goes all the way around. It kicks your ass. It is so heavy.
Yeah, don't misconstrue my ignorance for mocking there. I've watched wrestling all my goddamn life. I've got absolutely no platform to mock whatsoever.
We can't mock anything. I play I play Football Manager like 40 hours a week. We got no platform.
It's all dumb.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following us on Twitter at WhatCultureWW. Thank you for following Michael on Twitter at
Michael Hamflet.
Thank you for following me on Twitter at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hamish. We're missing Susie. If you know, you know. And if you know, you're probably from Aberdeen, because I'm pretty sure that's the only place that commercial aired. Bye.